Yo, what is going on, everybody? It is Tyler here, and today I'm bringing you another video talking some more college football 27. Maybe a little bit of Madden as well mixed in there, but mostly just talking the college football game. Thursday night we had that opening drive showcase, and it was definitely awesome, man. But with it being as late as it was, and then me being a little bit confused on what we could do with the beta or not, it took me, a day and a half to finally get this video done where I'll explain everything that they talked about in the showcase and go over, the deep dive articles that we have available now. But yes, I would have done this, initially right when that showcase was done and had the video up yesterday, but I didn't realize that the beta was closed and was thinking that I was going to be able to, stream or record a bunch of stuff. So the only thing I was worried about was playing the game. But unfortunately, it's all closed off and we're unable to really share anything from that. So yes, I did get the membership, and yes, I've played the beta a little bit, but can't share anything from that, unfortunately. I will have some stuff saved in case we are able to share anything eventually, but for now, not really that worried about it. It's mostly just for feedback for them. But yeah, we'll just go over everything that we learned Thursday night and, through these deep dive articles for different parts of the game. But first, I do want to go over the MVP Plus membership because there was speculation, last week. Once we found out about this, of how we would go about it, how it would be paid, if that meant the MVP bundle was gone, was this membership replacing the bundle? So here we actually have the graphic of the difference between the bundle and the membership. So the bundle is indeed still a thing. Personally, I don't think it makes absolutely any sense at all to get the bundle and not the membership. Like, if you plan on playing both games, the bundle is the way to go. But now that you have the membership, it's like, why would you not do it? You see the difference there. You only get 3 days early access with the bundle. With the membership, you get 7. Plus, you get this beta access, which it's, currently this weekend for college football 27, but there will also be beta access for Madden June 11th through 14th for next weekend. There's some other stuff for Ultimate Team, of course, that I'm not worried about. The 4 superstar skill points that you get are only available for the membership, not the bundle. That's for Madden, of course. And I'm not going to, read everything, but there's at least the stuff that you know or can see on the screen. The blue is for Madden. The red stuff at the bottom is for College Football 27. So the difference between the bundle and the membership, that Rainmaker skill tree, of course, we'll talk about that a little bit more when I go over Dynasty, but that's for membership members only. And I'm pretty sure there's not a way to earn that any other way, which is kind of wild. But yeah. Some other stuff for Ultimate Team, of course, I don't care about, but Dynasty Coach Points. You get 100 with the bundle, 150 with the membership. Road to Glory Skill Points, you get 250 with the bundle, 500 with the membership. And then you get all the mascots and mascot mashup if you get the membership. And, again, a lot of this stuff we'll talk about a little bit more as we go over those modes coming up. But I just wanted to show you the difference between the bundle and the membership and let you know that the bundle is indeed still a thing. But they're the same price, man. So I don't get why you wouldn't get the membership. You get earlier access, you get more rewards. It's the same price. Why wouldn't you do it? Like I said, the only way that you wouldn't do it is if you don't play both games. So if you only play college, then of course you would just get the deluxe edition. But yeah, man, especially now since they're doing a loyalty reward discount. Thankfully, a lot of games are starting to go this route. Like even with the new Call of Duty game at the end of this year, I believe they are doing it as well. But yeah, 10% off if you've bought it digitally on the same account that you're using now in the last few years. Whether it's the last couple of college football games or Madden since I think 21 or 22, I believe. So yeah, you'll get that nice 10% off discount. So I mean, hell, 134.99 for both games and all this extra crap. That's about as good as you're gonna get. That's basically, after taxes, it's like probably about $77 or so per game. So you're basically only paying the standard edition price for both. So like I said, it's mostly for people that play both. Of course, last year I didn't play Madden, but I definitely plan on being back on it this year. But College Football 27, of course, would be the focus. But yeah, that's pretty much it for what I'll say on the MVP Plus membership. Oh yeah, pricing wise too. Uh, you know, they made it sound like it was going to be a monthly payment thing, but no, you just have to pay for the whole 12 months, which makes sense. So that way people aren't able to just sit there and, pay for it for a couple months and then unsubscribe or whatever. But that's how you keep the games in your library, and then it just renews every year, and then you keep the games. So people were worried about that. You do keep the games, and then it's just under the membership, it will be new games when it renews. I know most people love Dynasty the most, but I'm going to start with Road to Glory because I'm a Road to Glory guy. That'll be what'll mostly be on the channel, even though there will still be plenty of Dynasty as well. Trust me, that's going to be a lot of everything. But, I'm a Road to Glory guy, so we'll start with that, man. I definitely like a lot of what they added this year, and it seems like the mode is headed in the right direction, even though there is still a ton of work to do. But yeah, I'm not gonna read through literally everything. I mean, it's a lot. If you want to, read the articles yourself, of course you can. Now let's start off with, the new positions. I predicted 3, and that's what we got, like I said. And I was almost exactly correct. We got the tight end on offense, which was the only thing available other than O-line, so that makes sense. Then defensively, I said edge rusher, which is pretty obvious. That's there. Then I said strong safety. We ended up getting free safety instead, which not going to complain. I was a free safety myself. So, I mean, I'm going to have tons of fun with that position, but I just think with strong safety, I think that would have just created a little bit more different things that could happen gameplay wise, because you'll just end up in a lot of different scenarios, whether you're down in the box or back in the shell, or just depending on formation and coverages and stuff like that. But you'll still get a different, a little bit different variety with free safety if you're someone that loves DB and was only able to play cornerback the last couple of years. But yeah, man, I love seeing the 3 new positions. Definitely going to have some fun with that. I did play some edge. Road to Glory so far, it's pretty fun. There is, of course, some negatives to it, but so far it's definitely been a good addition, I think. Like I said, as far as sharing any more stuff from the beta, I can't really do any of that. So, until I find out what's okay and what's not okay, I'm not really gonna put nothing out there. Now, as far as like what I'm talking about, is mostly just gonna be what we see in these articles. And I will mention here, when you create them, your player base, you can create like your own build, or you can use a legend build. And I'll show you that right here. So quickly there, before the legend builds, you can see, depending on your position, whatnot, you can adjust the height and weight. It'll start at a certain point, and then as you go up or down on the height or weight, you'll see the adjustments on those attribute caps. It's kind of similar to like 2K system and whatnot. As you see it, you can kind of play with it and see, which things go up and down, so you can get those attributes slotted in the spots that you want. So of course you can go about this in, whatever way you feel like, or you can do the legend builds. So I'll start with the tight end ones, since this is the graphic they give us. I'm not going to show the other ones, but I will list to you the ones for the other positions. But here, they show us the tight ends, since that's a new position, so they're going to be pushing that type of stuff. So Artellus Bennett, Jeremy Shockey, Rob Gronkowski, Todd Heap, Ozzie Newsome, and Vernon Davis are all of the legend builds you can choose from for tight end. Now, there's a lot more options for some of the other positions, not defensively, but the other offensive positions. There's a lot more options. But I think most people will end up just, making their own builds. That way you can, set it how you like. Now, you will notice, see, like there's 2 vertical threats for tight end and 2 physical route runners. Some of these positions will only have like 1 for a couple of the archetypes, and then they'll have like 3 or 4 for just one of them, which I don't think makes much sense, but it is nice having a variety for one archetype, having a few different ways you can go into that. So it would be nice if like all of them had at least 2, but it is what it is. It is a nice little addition that they have. Now, whenever we're allowed to, or I'm sure like some other like or people, content creators that are like actually sponsored by EA and were able to go to these events or get gameplay early and stuff, they've probably already put out videos or creations and stuff to where you can probably actually see the stuff. But since I don't have any sort of clearance and whatnot, I'm not gonna like show them, but I will at least list them for you. But I will go through them all so that way you can see the different attributes, like once we are able to, whether that's in the next couple of weeks, or if I have to wait till the full game, then we'll just do that. But we'll go ahead and list them all off for you. The quarterbacks that you can choose from is Johnny Manziel, Cam Newton, Mike Vick, Steve Young, Vince Young, Andrew Luck, Drew Bledsoe, Pat White, and Tim Tebow. Then for running backs, there's a ton of them. Now, by the way, also, all the archetypes are the same. Every archetype that was there last year, they're all the same names. All the positions got the same ones. Now, for running backs, you got LaDainian Tomlinson, Marshall Faulk, Doug Martin, Eddie George, Marshawn Lynch, Jamal Charles, Reggie Bush, Mark Ingram, Ricky Williams, Todd Gurley, Peyton Hillis, Toby Gerhart, Darren McFadden, and Matt Forte. So, like, that, for me, like, that's just way too many options, if you ask me. It's so many different ways you can go. But I think they kind of just did it for like nostalgia purposes. Like people be like, "Oh yeah, I forgot this guy went here," or, I forgot about this guy or whatever. Like I don't know. I don't forget about nobody because lived and breathed football my whole freaking life. But I don't know. I feel like they just overdid it a bit. Like you don't need that many different ones. I thought it was cool seeing Marshawn Lynch in there because if you watched me at all last year, I did the online dynasty with some buddies and I overtook Cal, and the coach I created was Marshawn Lynch. I was like, come on, we got to go get your alma mater back in a good spot. But yeah, the receivers I'll list real quick is Calvin Johnson, Randy Moss, AJ Green, and Andre Johnson, Michael Crabtree, Chad Johnson, Reggie Wayne, Steve Smith, Tavon Austin, then the two speedsters to round it out, Deshaun Jackson and Devin Hester. Of course, the tight ends we already went over. You see them there on the graphic. And then for all the defensive positions, there's only, 5 or 6 for each of these. But I'll go over the positions that we already had first. So for the Mike linebackers, middle linebacker, you got Brian Cushing, Mike Singletary, and then all 3 of these are thumpers, A.J. Hawk, Junior Seau, and Ray Lewis. So definitely love seeing that. A.J. Hawk, I'll say, I think he's a great dude. No, I hated him before because, he played for Ohio State and Green Bay, and I'm a Michigan fan and a Steelers fan. So, I mean, obviously I hated him. But I'm a huge Pat McAfee show guy, and I've watched it ever since it started. And, even in the beginning when AJ Hawk was not even technically a part of the show, he was on with him after the Pat McAfee show. They would do a whole separate show called McAfee and Hawk Sports Talk. But either way, I'm just saying I like the guy now. Hated him as a player, but as a person afterwards, he's cool. So it's just cool seeing him in the game in some sort of way. But yeah, the cornerback legend builds they have is Rod Woodson, Deion Sanders, Antonio Cromartie, Aqib Talib, and Richard Sherman. And then for the 2 new positions, you got the edge rushers. You got builds for Terrell Suggs, Chris Long, Reggie White, DeMarcus Ware, Dwight Freeney, and Jason Taylor. And then for free safeties, you got Brian Dawkins, Earl Thomas, Ed Reed, and Brian Urlacher. That's right. A lot of you probably don't even know. If you're younger, you probably didn't even know that man was playing safety back in college. Yeah, he went to linebacker once he went to the league because they realized he had to. Just got too big. But yeah. Only 4 options there for free safety. Not the best, but it is what it is. But yeah, I just figured I'd list all those off for anyone that was interested. So as you adjust whatever, if you're choosing one of those legend builds or if you make your own and you adjust and you see those cap, maxes going up and down, there is a good thing this year with the cap breakers. You can earn up to 25 across your career by accomplishing major performance-based milestones and elite achievements. Those include winning the Heisman Trophy, becoming an All-American, winning a national championship, breaking school, conference, or national records, reaching major career statistical milestones, and completing other high-end career accomplishments. So that'll definitely be nice, being able to break some of those caps, because, you have certain limited things that you can do when you are, setting your height and weight. You can't really finesse it to be all around in some of the areas that you might want. So being able to break some of those caps at some point will be nice. And as far as each attribute, you can apply up to 5 cap breakers to one attribute. So it's not like you can just add all 25 to one of them. You can do up to 5 to one single attribute. So of the 25, if you wanted to do 5 on 5 different ones, you could. Or you could use 10 on 2 different ones and use the remaining 15 on, 15 different ones, or put 2 on 7 and 1 on 1, or whatever, however you want to do it. I'm sure it'll be very interesting to see how we, figure that out throughout the year. Find out different ways that we can break those attribute caps and, what things would be better to break than others for certain builds on certain positions. Basically, like it says there, this is how players can create truly legendary builds: a Derrick Henry style physical force, a Lamar Jackson style dual threat quarterback, or a rare Bo Jackson level athlete. When it comes to abilities, I will also mention when you are going about applying your skill points to your player, there will be a thing on the right side of the screen showing you what, physical abilities you can have and what tier they're at, whether it's, bronze, silver, gold, or platinum, or I guess it's elite, whatever the purple one is, whatever you want to call it, man, whatever the one past gold is, platinum, elite, whatever. I think elite is probably the right term, but I keep saying platinum for whatever reason. I've been playing too much ranked play lately. But yeah, when you go about that, you'll see as you apply the attributes, like as you put the points up, you'll see which ones go up as far as the physical abilities, which ones you can get with those attributes, whether, you get a few bronze, a few silver, a few gold, whatever the case may be. And then you can also end up choosing your mental abilities after that. And there's a few different categories. So talking about the mental abilities, they're directly tied to how you manage your life as a student athlete throughout Road to Glory. Those abilities are not just gameplay perks, they are connected to the decisions you make off the field and the way you balance your weekly agenda throughout your career. At character creation, every player selects 3 starting mental abilities. Each ability is tied directly to one of your weekly agenda meters. That's what I was talking about there with the 3 different categories. So, academics, leadership, and brand. So, each ability you choose will be tied to one of those. For example, as a quarterback, the academic category is where you can equip the field general mental ability, which helps identify blitzers and coverage shells before the snap. One of the most important aspects of the mental abilities is that they are not always active. Because each mental ability is tied to one of your weekly agenda meters, you must maintain that meter at a high enough level in order for the ability to remain active during gameplay. So that is very important. So if whatever you choose under academics is, maybe you slack off in the classroom for a couple of weeks and your GPA drops, then you're not even going to have that mental ability equipped for the game. It'll still be equipped, but it won't be activated because you aren't, maintaining those academics. So that'll definitely be interesting to keep up on. Of course, you can raise that meter back up into good standing to get that ability then reactivated. This reinforces the core philosophy of Road to Glory. Your success on the field is directly connected to how you manage your life off the field. And a lot of people think that's going to be all just classroom stuff because they added like the actual test. But I'm telling you, the actual tests, you should not be that worried about them. Like back in the day, they were pretty freaking easy when we were doing midterms and final exams. So anything like those, I would assume that are not going to be tough. Now, if you sit there and not put any time into the classroom throughout your weekly agenda stuff, then yeah, once you get to those quizzes and whatnot, they will be harder. So all the mental abilities will start at that bronze tier, and you can upgrade them as you play by completing objectives and gameplay goals. Actually, I was right. You see that? Bronze to silver to gold to platinum. Y'all thought I was a fool or something, man. I was right. It is platinum. I don't know why I was thinking it was elite. Well, that's the development trait. That's what I'm thinking of. It is pretty cool that once you, finalize your player, it has that little like strengths and weaknesses screen there. We'll see. All right, so as far as high school goes, I'm not going to talk a whole lot about it because honestly, I don't have a lot of good things to say about it. So I'll kind of just talk about what's in the article. Um, there's a lot more about the team builder stuff under Dynasty, but it is mentioned a little bit here as well. But you are actually able to import team builder teams into Road to Glory now, not just Dynasty, and you can import up to 16. And that's across both high school and college. So you can even put in the teams for college and even end up, going there, committing there, whatever you want to do. But as far as the high school goes, it's definitely nice having that addition so that way you're not just having to play the same teams every time you do a Road to Glory. So yeah, they still have like the same preset schools there, but you can import all 6 schools if you want, the 5 that you play, then your own, whether it's, real schools from your own high school, or, fictional stuff, or just something, you know, to change it up. So that way, like I said, if you're replaying multiple Road to Glories, you don't want to just keep saying the same jerseys, the same team names again and again. A very nice addition there. Not really something that I'm going to utilize a whole lot. I will probably use it like a couple times once other people have created enough team builder teams, because I don't have enough time to really sit there and do it myself. Back in the day, I used to always make my high school and, put the uniforms in there and whatnot as close to what they were actually as possible, with the actual logo on the helmet and stuff. It was pretty sweet, but, back then you could actually play your full schedule, and I see I'm not even gonna I'm probably gonna have to make a whole separate video talking about my wish list for Road to Glory. Because don't get me wrong, the mode is headed in the right direction. Like, I'm happy with what they're doing, but the beginning of it is still not good, man. High school basically didn't change at all. You're still just playing 5 games with, your 4 different drive goal objectives, and yeah, I'm not gonna go off too much on that. It'll take me a while to talk about everything with Road to Glory, but it's just like, at least they gave us the few new positions. Like, we can't complain too much. We got the few new positions. We got the Heisman presentation back and some other stuff. But as far as high school goes, I'll have a whole nother video talking about it, because it's just, let me tell you, it's not good. For one quick example, like I said, I was playing with the edge rusher on this so far. One of the drives I had, my goal was, because there's always like the base goal for 50 XP, then the other one for 250. My goal was to shed a run block, not just shed a block. I had to shed a run block. Then the other goal was either shed 2 run blocks or shed a run block and make a tackle. So I go out there, and the opponent, okay, it's the 4th quarter, we're in the lead for 1. So the opponent just calls nothing but pass plays. So I literally had 0 chance to even do that. And they also make it to where on the last challenge, you can't retry it. Like, even if you still have your 3 retries left, or 2 or 1 retry left, no matter what happens on that last drive, you're not even going to get the chance to retry it if you don't like your outcome. So they need to fix that. They need to just redo the whole, like I said, I got to do a whole separate video on this. But like I said, like, you're not, like, we shouldn't be getting penalized or punished because we get goals of something that we aren't even allowed to even attempt to do. Like, I couldn't even try to shed a run block. They call 3 straight pass plays, or like on another drive, the first play they throw an interception. So it's like, how can I get these goals done if I'm not given an actual drive or given plays in which I can actually, there's a lot of work that needs to be done with the high school stuff. But hey, man, they've done enough for us so far with adding positions and some other things. So can't complain too much, but hopefully that's what'll happen next year. Maybe that'll be next year's thing. They expand back in high school. We used to be able to play a full season. You could set whether you wanted it to be, 7 games, 8 games, 9 games, and you got the playoffs, high school state championship. We still ain't got that. Like, come on, man. Like, just give us a full game, full season, and give us those objectives, but allow us to just do them throughout the game rather than like one specific drive. Or I get if you want to still have like specific ones for like end of game stuff, or to get those, ×6 boosted scores for certain schools. Like, I understand if you still want to implement that in some way, but as far as all the other stuff, like, just let us play the full game and give us a list of objectives that we can complete per game throughout the year. Maybe they change each game, or if we're just smashing all the objectives super easily the first couple of games, maybe we get some tougher ones the last couple, or you give us the playoffs and the state championship game. Maybe those are obviously, a lot harder, a lot tougher. But yeah, I'll make a whole nother video talking about Road to Glory and like what needs to happen in the future. But this, right now I'm just trying to talk about everything we learned Thursday night and, in these deep dives. I will say it is nice that they added this expanded team impacts where you actually will gain more XP for still doing good things. It's like last year for those high school objectives, it's like if you didn't do the objectives, like you weren't getting any points at all. Or like now, if you don't do the objectives, but you still like make some impact plays and whatnot, like you're still going to get XP. It's just not going to be as much. Not going to be, getting that bonus and whatnot, but you'll still get rewarded and get, your tape score up a little bit higher. I will mention with the highlight moments, it does change a little bit this year as far as your scholarship offer goes. If you fail, you can still get a scholarship from that school. It's just the package won't be as good. Where if you succeed on that special highlight moment, you will definitely get offered. Well, I shouldn't say definitely, but so far for me, I got offered right away because I had one school where I didn't complete it, and then I had one school where I did complete it. And after the one I completed, that school offered me right away with an amazing deal, which I probably wouldn't have gotten if I didn't complete that specific highlight moment. Of course, I'll share that more specific stuff, later on when we're able to. But for now, I can't really do anything from my beta stuff. But yeah. I will say too, not just for Road to Glory, but everything in general, menu wise, looks a lot cleaner. You can access a lot more stuff a lot more easily, and it's just a very good representation of the game. Everything just looks good, better in general than it has before. And as far as they're talking about the recruiting and scholarship offers here, it's definitely a lot easier to see the different bonuses that you can get from each school as they offer you. Graphic here, of course, you can see depending on the different schools that are interested in this player here, the scholarship bonus. You can see the top 4 have offered him a scholarship. As far as what the bonuses that you get, whatever they are offering you is the ones that are green, filled in. Now the boxes that have green outlines, that's as far as it can go with that school and what they could offer you or what you could earn eventually. The boxes that are grayed out, those are unavailable. Now, those things could change over time because over the years, your school's academics and stuff and whatnot, your coaches, stability, all that stuff will change. But as far as a starting point goes, that's what the green is for. The green that's filled in is what you are currently getting offered. The greens that are outlined, the stuff that's outlined in green, is the maximum that you could eventually earn or get offered. And now the scholarship offers are more meaningful throughout your career because they pay out annually. The scholarship bonus you earn from your school will be rewarded at the end of every season. So that means your signing day decision is not only about where you want to start your college career, it is about choosing a program that can continue supporting your development over time. And at the end of each season, your school will reevaluate and determine what scholarship bonus they want to offer for the following year. If you are living up to the expectations, performing on the field, and taking care of business off of it, your school may reward you with a stronger annual bonus. If your performance slips or your decision creates problems, that offer can change. You might be offered, less NIL, less of a bonus in general, or they might even up and ask you to leave the school. They said that during the opening drive presentation, man. They said the coach can literally, if you do bad enough, the coach will come to you and tell you you got to go. So that's crazy. So expectations are a big thing in this. If you arrive as a 5-star recruit, of course you're going to have higher expectations. You'll already be, projected as an early NFL draft type of guy with 32 5-star prospects and 32 first-round picks. That's why you get that first-round expectation attached to your name. So, that makes sense. It will change throughout the year. Expectations are not guarantees. So once you begin your career, your projection can rise, fall, or completely change based on how you perform, how you develop, how you manage your body, and how you handle decisions that come with life as a student athlete. You are no longer just building your tape. You are managing your draft projection, building your legacy score, and trying to become the player that everyone believes you can be. Now, legacy score, if you've been around from back in the day, then you know what that is. It's back. It's just basically it would be like a leaderboard of, you can probably look at it depending on the position or, by school and whatnot. And you can see, an online leaderboard of other people that also play at that school or at that position in general and see, where you stack up legacy score wise. You get higher score, of course, becoming, an All-American or winning awards, Heisman, winning natties and stuff like that. But that, will be tied to your draft projection a little bit in some way, which of course it makes sense. Of course, if you're doing things to get your legacy score up, then of course that would help your draft stock. But yeah, your starting draft projection, of course, will be based on what star recruit you are. Of course, like I said before, that 5-star recruit will be a first round expected talent. And then, of course, the lower you go, it'll adjust. Like if you're a 4-star, it'll probably be like second or third round, and 3-star will probably be like fifth to seventh, or maybe fourth is in there too. And then, of course, if you're a 2-star, they'll probably, say you're undrafted. So a lot of this makes sense. Is telling you, as long as you do good in important moments and win awards, continue developing towards your max potential, then your projection can rise. And if you struggle and make poor decisions off the field, if you become ineligible academically or allow your body to accumulate too much damage over time, your projection can fall. So yeah, the career wear and tear will play a major role in how you are evaluated. Talent does matter, of course, but so does your durability. So, like running backs, for example, they usually have a shorter lifespan in the league than, other positions because, they take such a beating in college and then go to the league. And, by like year 3 or 4, it's like how much they got left in the tank. Not much, really. It's just now the last couple of years where you finally started to see running backs get more of those, second deals, the big deals with the higher, yearly annual payouts. Because before, guys, teams would just move on to the next guy, draft the next guy or whatever. But you're starting to see more now, the running backs getting those extensions and whatnot. Like they realized like they have to start, take care of their bodies better and whatnot. And, if they want more longevity in their career, that's just so many guys that just, after a few years, they just disappear. Like running back, man, you just don't hear it as much with the other positions. So it's nice to see that tied into this. So it's like once you go to get drafted, it's like if they see that your body is taking a complete beating over your 3 or 4 year college career, then they might not want to take that chance on you. Or you might end up being a later round draft pick just because of that. It says if your body has taken too much punishment over the course of your college career, pro teams may view you as a riskier prospect with a shorter window at the next level. So basically, kind of how I just explained it. So that type of stuff will be a lot different depending on what position you play. I think, I will be doing a running back, so we'll see how that does when it comes to getting drafted. This creates another layer of decision making. Chasing greatness matters, but so does obtaining or maintaining or managing your body. The hits you take, the way you train, the way you recover, and the way you manage your workload all affect how long your career can last and how the next level views your future. So tracking your career, this is pretty cool. You'll actually be able to see how your projection changes. Okay, I like that. So when you go into your legacy, you can look at your legacy score and then also a draft projection tab. So yeah, I love seeing that. See where you start, and then if there's any drop off, then you climb your way back up. That is very, very cool to see. I love that. I'm not going to talk too much about the legacy score. I kind of already mentioned it. I mean, it's pretty simple. You just win awards, break records, do good things, and you'll get a higher score. And I love that it shows your progression on that as well over the years. So, like I said, there's a lot of stuff in here that's like kind of like just reiterating stuff that's already been here. So, if you want to read it all, it'll be linked in the description. But I'm kind of just going over the newer stuff. So, scenarios and dilemmas here. They've been added throughout your college career. These moments can impact your meters, your coach happiness, your progression, your academics, your reputation, and the way your story unfolds. Some choices are simple on the surface, but every decision has a trade off. So, for example, you may find out you have an upcoming quiz. You can spend energy studying and prepare yourself, or you can decide to wing it and use that time somewhere else. If you choose to study, the quiz will be much easier because you made the investment. If you gave up energy, that could have gone toward another part of your week, but you gave yourself a better chance to succeed in the classroom. So if you decide to wing it, you're taking a risk. This year, quizzes can pull from a wide range of subjects. If you skip studying and end up with a Spanish quiz, the quiz will actually be presented in Spanish. Oh, goodness. If you do not speak Spanish, you may have a much harder time answering correctly. That outcome is not random punishment. It is the consequence of choosing not to prepare. Okay. There's a rarely one perfect answer. There are only choices, consequences, and the career you build for them. Maybe you protect your GPA but miss out on a chance to build your brand. Maybe you focus on your fitness but lose time that could have gone toward leadership. Maybe you chase short-term rewards and pay for them later. Every week asks you to decide who your player is becoming away from the field, and those decisions continue to shape what happens when you step back onto it. I think a lot of that will, depend on, what kind of story you're going for, what position you're playing and whatnot. Because, leadership, if you're not the quarterback or the middle linebacker, how much do you really want to put into leadership? Now, depending on what, perks you can get with that or what rewards you get from getting that up, maybe it's worth it. Because usually each category is tied to, certain multipliers for certain things. So we'll have to see how those work out this year. But yeah, certain positions, certain things aren't going to matter as much. And, as far as the academics go, shouldn't really be too worried about wanting, like a 4.0 or to be perfect. But, as long as you pass and, stay eligible, I think that should be good enough. Fitness will probably be the best thing, so that way you can, keep your body right. So weekly training is no longer serving as the direct path to XP. Practice now becomes your primary way to earn progression when you are not producing on game day. Of course, through practice, you can build your coach trust, and they overhauled the system this year where there's more details in there, more drills specific for your position to help you hone in your skills. This does matter no matter where you are on that depth chart. So if you're still fighting for playing time, practice is where you prove yourself, earn trust, show coach that you deserve a bigger role. And if you're already a starter, you got to stay there, continue to refine your game, keep developing, and show that you are still putting in the work to stay on the field. This year, Road to Glory includes over 50 new practice drills, okay? Built around both team-focused situations and position-specific development. So each week you select practice, you'll automatically load into that week's assigned drill. That drill becomes your opportunity to develop, compete, and show your coach how prepared you are. Your performance in practice still matters. The medal you earn will impact your XP, coach trust, and coach happiness for that week. A strong practice can help you progress, build trust, and stay in your coach's good graces. A poor practice can slow your development and make it harder to maintain your standing. So a lot of the same stuff there, but how you go about it is different with, the 50 new drills, so pretty cool. They said they worked on making game day more immersive and whatnot. I will say with that, you are able to watch from the sideline now. It's not going to be all just simming and playing your plays. You can actually watch from the sideline so you see what unfolds when you are not on the field. I love that. I'm not going to read all this, but they said they overhauled the pre-play grading and whatnot. So it should be better, getting better feedback throughout the game based on your actual performance rather than you shouldn't be getting too many negatives based on what happens to your team, unless what happens to your team is directly because of the action that you made on the field. For example, rather than being overly influenced by team results or events that may not have involved your player, if you make the right read, execute your assignment, create pressure, finish a tackle, pick up a key block or make a place in space, the feedback should reflect that action more clearly. So basically what I just said, yeah, it's if the team screws up, but it's completely away from you, and there's nothing you can do about it, then you shouldn't be getting, screwed on your grade. Yeah, as a quarterback, man, if a quarterback makes a bad pass and just throws it right to a defender, then yes, you should get absolutely smacked down some points, and your grade should take a huge hit. Where if, say, you're a quarterback, what if you made a perfect throw to an open receiver, and what if it just bats off his hands up into the air and it gets picked off? There's nothing you can do about that. So as the QB, that interception should not give you the same negatives as the other one. We're yeah, obviously it's still a negative, but it's you still made an accurate throw and the right throw, but it was your receiver that made the mistake. So it's you should not get the same negative as if you were to just, maybe you're rolling and there's some pressure and you just chuck the ball up and it's just straight to a defender. Then obviously that should be a much bigger negative and take a bigger hit on that grade that way. So we'll see how that works. Dynamic weather, I might talk about this a little bit more later on, but this is from Madden. So if you played Madden last year, then the dynamic weather is here. So it's basically just, instead of it, snowing exactly the same for an entire game or raining the same for an entire game, you'll now see this start and stop, or pick up or fall off, heavier snow or lighter snow throughout the games, whether it's first quarter, second half. It's not going to be the same exact weather for 4 straight quarters. Now, if you are seeing snow build up over time throughout the game, you will be able to see less, which is nice, and footprints and whatnot will definitely be more visible and more realistic and all that stuff. So it'll definitely be cool to see. Throwing the ball will be much tougher now than before. If you're in a windy, snowy game, you're not going to be wanting to push it downfield much. I mean, heck, even if you want to, you won't be able to see that far because the visibility will actually be a thing. And quickly on commentary, it says throughout your career, commentary will speak more directly to your journey, your performances, and the memorable moments that have shaped your path. As your career unfolds, the broadcast can reference key events from your past, call back to major performances, and connect the moment you are currently playing to the larger story of who you become as a player. That might mean commentary reflecting on a rivalry performance or a breakout game, an award season, or a championship run, or any other sort of defining moment. That'd be cool. I will talk about the progression just a little bit. You earn skill points and whatnot per usual. As far as upgrading your player, you can actually do instead of doing the whole attribute group at a time, you can now do specific attributes in each group. But I will say certain ones are going to cost a lot more XP now than they did before. So for quarterbacks, for example, throw power or speed. I think speed for most people. I think that's for pretty much any position. The speed is definitely going to be harder to put up. Unless, you have a slower guy to start. But once, you get in the 80s and whatnot, it's going to cost a lot. Let's see. End of season coach meeting. At the end of every season, your career reaches a major checkpoint. Before you decide what comes next, you'll sit down with your coach for an end of season meeting. This conversation gives you a clear look at how your school views you, where they see your future, and how they believe you fit into the program moving forward. Your coach will evaluate your performance, your development, your role, your off-field decisions, your coach happiness, your leadership, and whether you are living up to the expectations placed on you. This is also where your annual scholarship bonus comes back into focus. Your school will re-evaluate your scholarship and determine what bonus they are willing to offer you for the next year. If you performed well, developed your player, handled your responsibilities, and remained in good standing with the program, that offer can reflect your growth. If you struggled, became a distraction, failed to meet expectations, or fell out of favor with your coach, your offer may not be what you hoped. If you are eligible for the NFL draft and your projection is strong, your coach may encourage you to go pro. If your standing within the program has fallen, your leadership is low, your coach happiness is poor, or your performance has not matched your potential, your coach may revoke your scholarship and encourage you to enter the transfer portal. Oh, jeez. For example, there you see good old Brett Bielema, the Illinois coach. So it basically tells you what they're offering him for the NIL package. Plus 16 academics, plus 40,000 brand, plus 272 coach trust, plus 14 leadership, plus 8 skill points, plus 8 fitness. So I'm not necessarily sure if that's really good or not, but it's probably not. Because, at the beginning of this, it says that he's a season or two from being a key player. But if he has a strong off season, could shorten that up. So yeah, you can decide to stay or enter the portal based on, if you like the offer that you are getting. So he's not telling the guy to leave, but he's basically letting them know hey, you're still not going to be starting this next year. Huh. So yeah, I'm sure these conversations can go a lot of different ways, but it's just nice seeing different things added. So the transfer portal is pretty much all the same. It's just, you'll have to really pay attention to those scholarship bonuses and what they're offering. That's actually where it wraps up though. That's it, man. Yeah, so that's it for the Road to Glory deep dive. Oh, also on the transfer portal, I forgot that they mentioned this. Other teams can actually reach out to you even if you don't hit the portal. Other teams can still express that they are interested. I'm not sure exactly how that's going to work, but not only can your coach ask you to leave, but you can get offers without even entering that portal. Sounds like tampering to me, but I think I mentioned it earlier. But like I said, that Heisman ceremony is completely back as well. But I'm pretty much going to wrap things up here. I know I said I was going to go over everything today, but I didn't realize how long it would take me, man. So I'll do a separate video talking about Dynasty and then a couple other things like mascot mashup and just more like gameplay stuff. This was pretty much all just Road to Glory talk today, but yeah, there's a lot of good gameplay stuff coming. As far as like actually playing like as a user, it still feels pretty similar for the most part for most things. But the AI, like the computer, definitely there's some changes, mostly defensively. Not really much offensively, but defensively you notice a big difference. So I'll go over all that gameplay stuff in another video here in the next couple of days. I'm not sure if I'll tie it into the Dynasty video or not, because who knows, the Dynasty video might take forever as well, but definitely be on the lookout in the next few days for more information from me talking about this stuff. And as far as the beta goes, like I said, we can't share nothing. So as I find out more about what I can at least say, then I'll tie in more of what I've played to like the stuff that we are, given publicly. But yeah, that's gonna do it. I appreciate anybody that watched. Make sure you hit that like button for me and subscribe if you are new. Follow the links in the description. My Twitter, my Twitch. Yeah, so that way whenever I go live, I see that or updates on Twitter for different things too. But yeah, it's gonna do it. Appreciate you for tuning in. Have a nice day. Peace.